be honest with you, I wasn't expecting much from Werewolf by Night. I was excited to see it because of the trailer, but I was like, there is no way that Marvel is actually doing horror in the MCU. Boy, was I surprised. Yes, they actually went there. Instead of giving us a brand new, shiny project, Werewolf by Night might have just saved Phase 4 of the MCU. How did they do it? We're answering that question at the end of the video. First off, you should know this was directed and composed by Michael Giacchino. You know, the man that did the Batman, Spider-Man No Way Home, even some of your favorite Pixar movies like Up and Ratatouille. This was his directorial debut, which is the biggest flex of the century. You know how hard it is to be the man that makes the decisions behind the camera and then have the balls to compose it as well? Nevertheless, his first project is focused on a reunion-turned contest between some monster hunters who are trying to duke it out in order to earn a bloodstone. Basically, it's a fancy gem that allows the user to forcibly transform monsters into their true form, ward them away, and even send energy blasts everywhere. Yeah, it's pretty OP. Jack Russell is our main character, and he joins this crew of hunters in order to try to defeat a mysterious monster within a labyrinth, and whoever gets it gets the stone. Of course, this includes surviving sabotage from the other hunters. It's an all-out brawl. No more spoilers, that's the premise. Let's get into the technical stuff. This is the first full-blown attempt into the horror genre from Marvel. As a direct-to-Disney Plus TV special, I wasn't expecting to be wowed, but after watching that very first teaser trailer, you could tell that they were heavily inspired by the Universal-style horror movie classics of the past. It's in black and white, also partly shot on film, which allowed them to go heavily into the more graphic content associated with horror movies without getting that TVMA or R rating. For some context, this technique is exactly what Quentin Tarantino did with Kill Bill and that crazy 88 scene. Having everything in black and white technically masks all of that violence, so you're Gucci. On top of all of that, you could see the passion that went into this, from the practical effects to the props, sound, and set design, even the cigarette burns in the film. This was a tried and true homage to 1930s and 1940s cinema. All of this is to say the detail and commitment to that old style way of filmmaking was palpable. Seeing that classic title crawl with the initial narration made me feel like a little kid getting ready to watch Nosferatu, Dracula, or even Frankenstein. Moral of this segment, the visuals and the sounds set the tone. The rest was carried by the story and the actors. Without any major spoilers, the main action is contained within a cast of less than 15 people, which is great because threads have to be open and closed quickly within a 54-minute runtime. Everyone pulled their weight, especially Laura Donnelly and Harriet Sampson, who play Elsa Bloodstone and Verusa, my bad, the old lady's named Verusa. There's deeply rooted family conflict surrounding these two. Plus, you got the aura of danger surrounding the monster hunt, which lets you know that these hunters will not stop at anything to stab each other in the back and claim the W. This brings us to Gael Garcia Bernal, who is the main character, and my god, what a great job did he do. From his demeanor to the little changes that he has to put himself through in order to get to his transformation into the werewolf, it was a beautiful sight to see. He's basically playing a double agent because he's a hunter, but he's also the hunted. It was phenomenal. They say the devil is in the details, and in this case, Gael Garcia Bernal and Michael Giacchino combined in a beautiful Dragon Ball style fusion of storytelling to make sure that the tension is the key center of the story. It crescendos slowly from him having to hold back his true nature to the beauty in his transformation. Again, as a reminder, having werewolf transformations in your film is always meant to be a grandiose affair, and this one delivered. Thankfully, we got a sneak peek through that initial trailer. Flashing lights, smoke in the background, a zoom in pan into Elsa as she gasps in horror to the monster in front of her eyes. Mwah! Peak storytelling. With that said, this was not all sunshine and rainbows. There are some negatives. For example, I do feel like the back end of that third act was a little bit rushed. However, that is a byproduct of the short runtime. I wasn't expecting a 2-hour movie with a grand resolution, but I do feel like it could have benefited from 20 extra minutes to flesh out the tension and give us that payoff that we were looking for. That in and of itself is our main gripe with the project. We wanted to see more of it. I'm not gonna tell you how it happens, but you already knew Man-Thing was going to make an appearance in this project. I also wanted to see more of him, but we got monster hunters, a werewolf transformation. It was absolutely entertaining. It just made me feel like a kid again watching old VHS tapes with my family. Which leads me to the question of the day. How did this movie save the MCU? Phase 4 of Marvel's cinematic universe can only be described as a roller coaster of emotions, with movies and TV shows that made the entire fandom combust into controversial hot takes. It hasn't been pretty, trust me, I've been on both ends of that stick. However, this was exactly the project that Marvel needed to bounce back and set the stage for telling bigger and better stories. How does this apply to Werewolf by Night? Simple. They embraced the chaos and went all in on a specific brand of storytelling. storytelling. Taking a risk on a straight-to-streaming project that had a lot more visceral gore and violence than your typical MCU project was bold. It wasn't a cookie-cutter version of any type of horror film. Michael Giacchino's vision to start our journey into the occult side of Marvel was the jolt of life that we were all waiting for. By now, everybody has theorized that we could see Mephisto in the future, for example. And with that, you should know that covering ghouls, demons, and curses is a huge part of the Marvel mythos. Werewolf by Night serves as the perfect segue to get all of those characters. Morbius is a sad but true example. We also got Blade, the Vampire Hunter, Ghost Rider, and even Doctor Strange and Scarlet Witch with the witchcraft side. With all of that craziness looming in over the horizon, we could realistically set a course to seeing something like the Midnight Suns in a not so distant future. And that, my friends, is the goal, to not shy away from the darker, grittier side of this universe. We could have multiple cohesive Marvel timelines, where the big names of the franchise cover the cosmic villains, and then you have people like the Midnight Suns, who cover the mystical, magical, and even the occult side of the Marvel universe through a base in London. Think about it. Why would they change Moon Knight's origin to be based out of London? Then we also have the Eternals, which let us know that both Blade and the Black Knight are already there in the UK as well. We could also see John Bernthal's Punisher introduced very soon. Who's to say that he's not overseas? When it comes to Doctor Strange, his antics in New York are gonna need him to take a little bit of a break. Adding in a new werewolf, it's a recipe for success in my book. You can see the Midnight Suns are starting to come together. Bottom line, to answer your question, as a self-contained story, this was a total success. A creepy ambiance, spookiness, a killer set of visual and practical effects, and then some solid acting. Sadly, it did leave us with a hunger for more. But I don't know about you, it makes me pretty excited for the future of the franchise. But I do want to know from you guys, did you like it? Did it miss your expectations? Was it total trash? Let me know in the comments down below. If anything, drop a like if you had some fun with this video, subscribe if you want to see more, and goodbye. That's the end.